Hello, everybody. It's been a while, and welcome back to the K&K Sports Podcast. I'm Jake,
I'm Billy.
and today we're going to talk about the the NFL Christmas Day slate of games. But first, I want to check in with Billy and see how he's been he's been doing for the past 4 months since we've took a hiatus for our college semester endeavors. So Billy, how have you been?
It was a great semester, Jake. You know what I mean? It's definitely one to remember.
Yeah.
Adjusting to college has been great. I met, a lot of amazing people and hope to continue that going into the second semester. How about you?
Same here. I echo all the same sentiments you did. I know you had a bit different of a college experience just because you've been away in upstate New York and I've um at Siena College and uh you've or I've been staying local at your dad's old stomping grounds at FDU Madison. Go Devils. Uh, but yeah, I echo the same uh, sentiments, and I'm glad that the semester's over so we could wind down and relax and watch some good Christmas Day action. Um, um, so let's talk about the first game. We got my beloved Green Bay Packers facing off at Lambeau against the Cleveland Browns. So, Bill, what are your thoughts on the matchup?
I'm not gonna lie to you. I think Rodgers and the Packers are definitely gonna win this game. I think they've been playing pretty well this season, and Rodgers is on my fantasy team too, so I kind of need him to perform well.
Pretty well is an understatement.
I mean, look, they are definitely a great team. When Rodgers is on his game, that's when they're at their best.
Yeah,
So, and the Browns, Baker Mayfield hasn't been playing too well recently.
yeah,
Miles Garrett's still a beast, though. Miles Garrett's still an absolute he's
yeah.
a unit. But yeah, I mean, like I said, it's all going to come down to how these two guys play, and I think that'll end up determining who wins on Christmas Day. What about you, Jake?
Yeah, I think the Packers definitely are favored to win this game, not only by my fanhood bias, but I think just from a football standpoint, they have the edge in this game, especially with Rodgers being on as hot of a hot streak as he's been on right now, and with the Browns dealing with some COVID-19 issues, just like the whole rest of the league.
Even the NBA too.
Yeah, uh, it's basically all throughout sports right now, but the Browns head coach Kevin Stefanski just got over COVID, and a whole bunch of their players. Baker Mayfield was on the COVID list. It just seems as if every with every passing week there's more and more cases to be discovered, especially with this new version of the virus.
Yeah.
Um,
Jake, do you think we'll have another lockdown?
Hopefully not. Hopefully not. Um, I'm sure everybody out there feels the same way, but
We'll just have to see how that goes. I mean, I hope it doesn't come down to it. You know what I mean?
people just have
But
to be cautious and careful, and live. They have to live their life, but just a little more.
more like
Yeah,
precautionary.
more.
Yeah.
Yeah, more with more precautions, like wearing a mask and everything. So, um, and with the more people getting vaccinated, the more people will that will get rid of this virus so we could get back to watching uh, more sporting events as we're used to. But anyway, the Browns have been dealing with some COVID issues. Uh, so have the rest of the league. Robert Sala and 15 other Jets tested positive uh, recently. So, unfortunately, this issue is not going away anytime soon. Uh, but I think not only that, but that the Packers definitely have the edge in this game because of their um, prolific offensive attack. And the only thing I think they need to improve upon is their special teams because it seems to be the Packers' kryptonite within recent years. Um, Especially Mason Crosby uncharacteristically um, missing, I believe, what has it been, 9 field goals?
Yeah.
Um,
Graham Gano!
all right, all right. But I definitely think if they could fix up their mistakes from last week, being that they only lost or won by 1 point against the Ravens, and approve upon, watch the film, and minimize their mistakes on special teams, I think they'll be just fine and carry off their way to victory.
Yeah.
One thing interesting in this game too, Bill, is I don't know if you have been following the NFL record books recently, but last week against the Ravens, with the connection between none other than Rodgers and Devontae Adams, um, Rodgers tied um, Brett Favre's record for the most touchdowns in Packers history. So, with in all likelihood, he'll pass it on Christmas Day, which will certainly be a good Christmas present for him, other than a victory. So,
Yeah.
congrats to him.
No, and like going back to what you're saying with the COVID, I just think that the last 2 weeks has been crazy with sports. Whether it's the NFL, NBA, MLB's in a lockdown, is on strike. NHL, there's just a lot of cases and things that are going on that. I mean, I hate to say this, but I eventually there probably will be another lockdown. I'm sure, especially with like you were saying, the rising cases and whatnot. It's not something that I want to see, but it's just something that's likely to happen.
I don't think anybody wants to see that, to
Yeah.
be quite honest
Well, yeah,
with
no,
you.
absolutely. I'm just saying that it's likely to happen. It's not 100% gonna happen, but there's a very good possibility that unfortunately it will happen again. I think.
Yeah. But on a more positive note, we have uh, arguably one of the best Christmas Day slates of games with uh, two, if not three, MVP candidates with Aaron Rodgers in the early window, and we have the NFL rushing leader Jonathan Taylor with the Colts facing off against um,
Cardinals.
the Cardinals with Kyler Murray, which they're they're coming off a rather disappointing loss to the Packers division foe, the Detroit Lions. So, what do you think about? Do you think whether? What do you think about their chances of bouncing back against the Colts?
I like their odds. I do, but not gonna lie to you, I think the Colts will come out of this with a win. Mainly
Yeah.
because I mean Kyler Murray's been playing amazing this season. Don't get me wrong,
Yeah.
but
Well,
you know
not
without
not last week.
Well, yeah, but he came back from an injury too, so I mean, you gotta give him some.
Yeah.
But I feel like without DeAndre Hopkins, I don't think he'll perform as well, considering that's his main target, and he's out probably until he's out into the playoffs, assuming they even if they make it far enough for him to come back. But yeah, I mean, I like Pittman, I like Michael Pittman Jr. Taylor's an amazing running back. Carson Wentz is he's been playing decent.
Average
Yeah, he's been
quarterback, but
playing decent.
with the help of Jonathan Taylor in your rushing attack, you don't really need to
Do much, yeah.
do much. So
Yeah, I mean, like I said, even Michael Pittman's been standing out. I actually had him on my fantasy team at the beginning of the year, then I cut him because I didn't think he was going to do much this season, and I regret that decision every day.
yeah,
But yeah, no, like other than that, the Colts are a good young group, and they're definitely one team to look out for.
I heard. I heard when the team was exchanging Christmas gifts, Carson Wentz uh, bought the whole offensive line a bottle of bourbon, and I guess it's um, fitting, being that they've been so instrumental in their success, especially in the running game
Absolutely.
with
Quentin Nelson.
Quentin Nelson, and the rest of the offensive line have been um, very effective in their rushing attack. And
Protecting him.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. You know what's funny? Did you hear that the Eagles received a first round pick since he played 75% of the snaps too?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's crazy.
So who do you think got the edge in this game, Bill?
Like I said, I think the Colts for sure. Like I said, a great young group of guys, both on the offensive side and the defensive side. They're effective in all aspects of the game. And yeah, what about you? Like, who do you think?
I think it's the Colts for sure, and I think Jonathan Taylor's gonna have another monster game, but I I think we don't give credit as much to the defense. Um, they've been playing lights out
Yeah.
and really helping out the offense and their productivity. Uh, so I think there are two keys to this game. Um, Jonathan Taylor's a big one, obviously.
Yeah, and Carson Wentz, I think. Too.
Carson Wentz and their offensive, but the biggest key is complementary football.
Yeah.
The offense playing for the defense playing for the offense, and both those faces playing for the special team, because the special teams have a key role, especially their punting unit in the field position game. So I don't think they get enough credit too. So I think as long as the Colts play complementary football and um, they get Jonathan Taylor the ball, I think they'll be able to come out with a win.
Yeah.
But one question I have for you, Billy, is what's wrong with the Cardinals?
I just think ever since Kyler Murray got hurt, I think that kind of like dropped their chemistry a little bit. You know what I mean? Since they had to switch to another quarterback, DeAndre Hopkins had to play with another quarterback, and I don't really think they kind of fit together. I think it's more Kyler,
Yeah.
Hopkins. I definitely think those two guys are what kind of make up the Cardinals' offense for sure.
Definitely.
Yeah. And I feel like with Kyler Christian Kirk, he's been playing okay recently, but he's not on the level of DeAndre Hopkins. You know what I mean? DeAndre Hopkins is the guy, if you need to score and he's double teamed, he's gonna go up and get it. You know what I mean? And,
Yeah.
And even on the other side of the ball, the Cardinals' defense has been okay. I mean, J.J. Watt. Of course, we weren't really expecting much from him this season, and isn't he out? But yeah, I just don't think that they're they're not really as good as they were beginning the season. They're off to a really strong start, and um, yeah. What do you think, Jake?
Um, I think the Cardinals got off to a strong start, but they kind of petered out. I mean, I was surprised because I think everybody was kind of expecting uh the Cardinals to come out with a victory against the Lions because, as we all know, the Lions have been underwhelming
But Jared
to
Goff
say
played
the late.
really nice too.
Yeah,
Played really well.
so they've both been underwhelming to say the least. Um, um, but I think the Cardinals will. They're on a big stage. They're up against uh, probably one of the most underrated and underappreciated teams as a whole throughout the league. I mean, you have to give Frank Reich credit, especially after being featured on uh, the HBO series Hard Knocks and
Mm-hmm.
how they're allowing their fans to get an inside look on
Yeah.
how they prepare for each week. Um, so I think they have to get credit for that, and I'm sure each team has their own unique way of um, preparing for each game and tackling each opponent. No pun intended. Um, but yeah, I think the Cardinals will still be reeling from their loss against the um, reeling from their loss against the Lions because I think they'll still be in shock. But I think, in my opinion, they have to if that happens, the Cardinals will have to do a better job of implementing the 24-hour rule in making players feel sorry for themselves for the first uh, 24 hours after a loss and um, getting getting back to get ready for the next opponent. Um, Getting back and getting ready for the next opponent and without dragging on the pain of the loss as painful as it might be. So um I think if they do a better job of that and if they come out with a strong start, which I don't believe will happen, especially on a big stage like Christmas Day with the majority of fans watching uh after their celebration.
I definitely think everyone will probably be watching it. You know what I mean? It's
Yeah.
gonna be those games are gonna bring in tons of revenue for.
Um most definitely, but I think uh if they don't worry about the pressure and just take the game minute by minute and snap by snap, they'll have a better shot of winning, but I think with uh Jonathan Jonathan Taylor being as lethal as he is running the ball, and with the Colts and how uh, good they're playing with complementary football, um, with each unit playing for each other, I think the Colts are going to be hard to beat.
Yeah.
Um, but in other NFL news, not that this was unexpected, but we recently, while we were away, saw two key firings for NFL franchises for various different reasons. To
Urban Meyer.
to put it lightly. The first was John Gruden and the surface of his emails to Bruce Allen and uh, Damari Smith, who is the who are the owner of the Washington football team and NFLPA chief executive, respectively. So, those emails, as I'm sure everybody knows, had some racially and um, ho- uh, homophobically sensitive comments in them, uh, which I, for one, in the public eye, don't condone at all. I mean, in respect to Coach Gruden, he was a great coach, and he's entitled to have his own personal opinion. I mean, everybody does when we're off the airways, but I think, with respect to his personal opinion and personal beliefs, he should have um, kept those private and not written those in emails to especially people as higher of higher stature, such as Damari Smith and um, Bruce Allen. Um, so I think he was rightfully fired for uh, how he expressed his opinions. Um, and I think uh, there needs to be a stop to um, any type of remarks like this, and um, will need to be addressed in the future to prevent these type of issues. What do you think, Billy?
I agree with whatever you're saying, Jake. 100%. Whatever you just said, like you just said, like it needs to be brought up, and John Gruden should have done that in the end. But like you said, he's entitled to his opinion, but at the same time, he shouldn't have expressed it, especially during into the NFL. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Because it's very marketed. It gets a lot of attention. The NFL.
Keep in mind,
And, especially like emailing that to another executive
yeah.
too. Like that's just I don't know. That's just not something that you should do.
Keep in mind, these emails were discovered in the NFL's uh, investigation into workplace misconduct within the Washington football organization. So, uh, he wasn't even the chief subject of the uh, organization's findings. So, it just goes to show um, what you do in the future in the moment may not affect you in the short term, but it could come back to bite you in the rear end
In the future.
in the future. So
Yeah.
people have to be cognizant of that and prevent that from happening in the future. Another firing, which was not too surprising,
Kind of funny at the same time too.
was the two and what I think are 11, 13 now.
Jacksonville Jaguars.
The 2-win Jacksonville Jaguars recently fired their former head coach, Urban Meyer.
Without intent to pay him too.
Yeah,
To pay him
well,
the rest of his contract.
we'll get that. We'll get to that in a minute. He was fired uh, due to allegations of abuse to players and other personnel, especially his coaches, I believe. When I was reading up on the allegations, he said, or the writer said, he called the his coaching staff losers, which is entirely unethical because um
it's unethical, but at the same time, it's true.
well yeah, but you shouldn't express that.
No, I completely
Um,
understand. I'm just saying.
But I find it especially ironic, Billy, because this was his first year. He didn't even last a full season, and
I mean, like for me, my reaction is not really too surprised that he got fired. You remember the picture earlier in the season with him and the woman or young lady
yeah,
on his lap. After that, you know what I mean. It's kind of you lose your players' respect.
I
You, you
expected.
you just lose the locker room, and
I,
I don't think he honestly from the beginning. I don't think he ever had any of the players' respects.
I ex- I expected him to be fired at least at the end of the season, but with respect to these allegations, once these come out, once the allegations of abuse came out about his behavior in and out of the locker room, uh, my opinion is this: hey, you're a first-year head coach. The owner, the Jacksonville ownership, gave you free reign on the coaching staff, obviously with backgrounds and everything. So this is a coaching staff that you had hand selected on your own. And you called them losers. Does that mean you're a loser too?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it shows for himself too by the way he performed and acted at the same time. Um,
and
and the thing is, like, honestly, for Trevor Lawrence, I didn't really like that situation for him, even from the beginning. I didn't like him to. I don't want him to go to the Jags. And then once they signed Urban Meyer, I was like, yeah, that's not gonna work out. You know what I mean?
yeah,
But yeah, Trevor Lawrence just needs to be an actual NFL system, not a
yeah,
college system. I mean, yes, he's used to it, but he's only going to grow as a player when he's able to adjust to new systems and play. You know what I mean? Play around, play. Like, what receivers did he have?
nobody.
He had nobody. Like, he needs. I mean, I'm saying Trevor Lawrence needs to request out of there. I think in order for the Jaguars to be successful, they need to build around him. And
Absolutely.
he's shown that he can be a star player. It's just that no one, not even Tom Brady, can play with the receivers he's playing with. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. With that being said, Bill, who do you think are going to take on these openings in the future and uh, uh, rebuild around Trevor Lawrence and take over the Las Vegas Raiders?
Who do I think they'll sign?
Yeah, who do you want them to sign anyway?
I think for the I'm not going to say who they should sign. I'm going to say what they should be looking for in a coach. I think they should look for an offensive minded, maybe the Bills offensive coordinator. Because he's shown countless times that he's able to, and like he's been really well with Josh Allen and whatnot. The offense is thriving in Buffalo, so I think definitely an offensive minded guy for Trevor Lawrence would be the best possible situation. And like I said, it doesn't have to be him, but just an offensive minded coach in general. I believe for the Jaguars, and then as far as the Raiders, honestly, I think they should just take maybe the Giants or the Ravens route. Maybe just select a special teams coordinator. You know what I mean? Because they don't really necessarily need an offensive or defensive minded coach.
Keep in mind their interim head coach for right now, Rick Bisaccia, was the special teams coordinator. So
Yeah,
are
so
you
I think
are you saying he should be retained? I mean, they haven't really done good, but I feel like given the situation he was kind of like thrown into, um,
yeah, I mean
he
like look,
deserves another shot.
I mean look, it all obviously it all depends on the ownership, general manager, who they decide to to go with. Um, but yeah, I think that the Raiders wouldn't necessarily be looking for an offensive or defensive mind, considering that both sides of the ball they're playing pretty decent at. You know what I
Yeah,
mean? So I think as long as they're able to retain their coordinators and they just maybe they retain the interim head coach or they just look somewhere else. Um, but yeah, I mean, like I said, I think that both these teams definitely have potential. It just all comes down to how they're using their money wisely as far as signing players, who are they drafting, um, and how and who they can build around to make their team better.
in my opinion, I think both these teams either uh should look at two offensive minds that came to mind when you were talking about the Jaguars is Kellen Moore who was a backup quarterback for a little while. Now he's uh assisted with the offense of the Cowboys, which has been increasingly better um for the past couple of years under Mike McCarthy and briefly under Jason Garrett before he was released. Um, but I believe they should, the Jaguars specifically, should look at those two offensive minds. Um, for the Raiders, um, or Byron Leftwich, who I ignored in my previous point, was also good. He worked with Tom Brady. Tom Brady is thriving in their system, but with a player of his pedigree, he wouldn't I wouldn't expect him not to. Um,
The thing is, I think with that situation, I'm sure he's gonna want to stay too. You know what I mean? I just personally think that maybe at some point, if Bruce Arians in the next year or so, he's saying, hey, like this is it. I won a Super Bowl.
no, definitely.
Well, you know what I mean? Like I'm sure that maybe he would want to take over the Buccaneers. I don't know. I mean, like, look, obviously, it's his choice. I mean, he can go with whichever way.
That's
But Bruce,
that's a good point too.
but Bruce Arians has expressed, especially out loud, like to the media, to the public, that he wants to see him back as the offensive coordinator. Um, at least for the time that he's here. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I definitely think that he'll stay in Tampa. Um, and possibly that's who I'm thinking will probably take over the Buccaneers
Wow.
eventually.
Good.
Just like how it is in New England. Like what's his name? Josh.
Josh
Yeah,
McDaniels.
Josh McDaniels. I'm sure he'll take over once.
He got a lot of
Belichick.
buzz too before Coach Reich was hired in Indianapolis. He was Jim Irsay and Chris Ballard um, gave him a ring, offered him the job, and he accepted, and then bowed out, giving way to Frank Reich, and not diminishing what Frank Reich has done. He's a great offensive mind, a great head coach. He knows how to lead his guys.
Yeah.
But Josh McDaniel's been getting head coaching buzz. I'm not
Every year.
every year,
Every year.
but I'm
And
not saying
he
he'll
doesn't want to leave though. That's
he'll
like
leave New England, but he's definitely one of the prime candidates. That when Belichick steps out of the spotlight because he's in his late 60s, um, he'll be a prime candidate to take over the system because
Yeah.
he's been there for however many years and he deserves a shot.
Yeah.
Um, um, let's go to more local stuff now. Let's stay in football first, though.
I would like to just shift to the Giants real quick. I was really thinking about this the other day too. Like, Dave Gettleman's definitely going to be gone after this season. You know what I mean? Um, do you have anyone? Do you have a target that you think the Giants should replace him with?
I I don't particularly have one, but I read a couple list. Um, I read a list with potential uh job job uh candidates to take over the position. I heard a lot about Kevin Abrams,
The assistant GM, yeah.
the assistant GM,
What
and
about Louis Riddick, the ESPN announcer?
Louis Riddick is another good one. He interviewed with the Giants last time, but didn't end up getting the job. Uh, um, Ed Dodds is a good one. He looked in. He has worked in Indianapolis for the last couple of years, so he's a good one too. Um, he's definitely one to watch out for. Um, there's a couple. There's a couple other ones. Will McClay. He worked with the Cowboys. He was one on their list. But yeah, I think there's several candidates for them to watch out for. Um,
Yeah. And I mean, look, in the end, it all starts at the top too. You know what I mean? It starts from the top to the
yeah.
bottom. So if you have a really good general manager,
The,
you
and
will have a decent team to go out there and play football.
and I don't know how you feel like this as a Giants fan, but I don't know how you feel about this, but Joe Judge was also on that list of
Yeah,
potential GM candidates.
I don't. I would prefer that they sign someone else. I think.
Yeah.
Um, you know, that's just my opinion. I don't personally. I wouldn't really want Joe Judge to have total control over
I
the roster.
I was just pointing
But
that out there because when Bill O'Brien went there before, he is now at Alabama as as their offensive coordinator under Coach Saban. He was he was a coach that kind of took on both roles and reported to
you see,
ownership.
like that's what I'm worried about. You know what I mean? Like, I don't want. I'm like, not that Joe Judge would make a stupid trade like how Bill O'Brien did with DeAndre Hopkins.
Yeah.
But I think a general manager is separate from the coach. I think you need to sign someone who has experience in that specific job, and that's that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't look. Not that I'm saying Joe Judge would be a bad GM, but like I said, I would prefer Louis Riddick. Just someone else, just someone else but Joe Judge.
Yeah.
So. And I think a lot of Giants fans, especially recently too, with the way that Joe Judge has been handling things as the coach. I think recently now people wouldn't be so thrilled if he was the new general manager. So I mean, look, in the end, time will tell. But I mean, I don't necessarily think that he'll get that job.
The biggest thing that came out of the Jets camp this week is the positive COVID test result for head coach Robert Saleh, and how 15 other Jets players tested positive. So I'm interested to see on how that will affect their game versus Jacksonville. Uh, and not that it'll have a great amount of effect, but
Yeah, I mean, like, I think as a first-time head coach, I think he's doing pretty decent. I mean, Elijah Moore's been playing really well this season too. Um, Zach Wilson, not so much.
yeah,
But I mean, look, I think give him another year or two, and I think he'll be fine. I mean, look, it's the Jets. You know what I mean? They don't have the best offensive line, so I mean he's getting hit like every 3 seconds anyway, so it's not necessarily just his fault.
Yeah.
So
Um, the final thing I wanted to finish up here with is the amount of positive cases within the NBA, specifically the Brooklyn Nets and New York Knicks. Um,
even the Bulls.
even the Bulls too. That's
What was the other team? There was another team I thought.
um, I'm not really too sure
It was
about.
like the Pistons, maybe.
Yeah, maybe.
It was. I know there was like the Bulls and the another team.
I think the Raptors or
Maybe. Yeah, I forgot.
but it doesn't really matter
Yeah.
because every team is being affected. As long with the COVID virus, with games being canceled, I know that uh, NFL or NBA, NFL canceled some or postponed some games last week, which was good for us because we I think according to Field Yates, shout out to him and ESPN, um, they had games 8 out of the last 10 days, with uh off Wednesday and Friday because they moved games to Monday before the Monday Night Football game, and Tuesday they had a doubleheader. So
Yeah.
um um I'll let you get the last word on how you believe COVID will affect sports in the coming weeks and months as we adapt to life with this new variant.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, as I said like earlier on the podcast, I think definitely at some point get shut down again. Maybe not the NFL since like there's only a couple more weeks left. It's the playoffs and then the Super Bowl. But I think the NHL, NBA will definitely have some sort of lockdown. Maybe for like a short period of time.
Yeah,
Maybe like a recess. Just so everything kind of dies down a little bit.
I think the NHL already did that. They're shutting down a few days before Christmas, I believe. Today was the first day that they did such a thing. So, um, and the NHL is not allowing players to participate overseas in the Olympics in Beijing. Rightfully so, and it's getting so bad that uh, teams have had uh, to sign people to 10-day contracts, like the 40-year-old Joe Johnson,
Isaiah Thomas too.
Isaiah Thomas, um, for I don't know what team he was for.
That's the Lakers.
Isaiah
He's
Thomas.
returned to the Lakers. Yeah.
Isaiah Thomas to the Lakers, as well as the most probably high profile one, the return of Kyrie Irving for away games, which is a whole nother issue. We'll probably have to digest in a whole new episode. Hopefully later this week. Stay tuned. Hopefully, like later over the break, we'll produce one or two more. But before we head back to school, but um, yeah, I think um, that the sports world will continue to be affected once um, our healthcare system, as well as our government officials, could get a handle on this new variant. And it's not only on them. People have to continue to follow protocols and be careful. Wear your mask or when you're in crowded places. Um, Continue to social distance when possible. Um, uh, I think if all players, all staff focus on that, we'll be able to play sports like normal again. But I think with the rise in cases and with the um, cancellation and postponement of certain events. Uh, Look, COVID's not gonna go away anytime soon, and I think uh, the sports world, just like every other aspect of our society, has to get used to it. What do you think, Bill?
Yeah, I mean, I definitely agree with we just have to keep on adapting to the world with COVID, and I mean, look, eventually it'll hopefully go away, and you know,
At least
we'll
the
be
severity
well,
of it.
yeah, at
Yeah.
least severity. I mean, like I said, with everyone getting vaccinated now, it'll what do you call it? The cases will slowly drop. So especially with the new booster and whatnot. So
I know. I certainly hope so, and I think our listeners certainly hope so. But um, hopefully things will get back to normal soon, and we'll be able to enjoy sports as normal again. So, on that note, we'll see you next time. Stay tuned for a couple more episodes uh within the next 3 weeks or so while we're on our college semester break um for the holidays and such, and uh we'll we'll take our break for a little while, enjoy the holidays with friends and family, and seeing our friends, and
Let's have a blessed, 2022.
we wish everybody a happy and healthy new year, and uh we can't wait to resume our podcast in the year 2022, hopefully with some uh positive new content for you guys, and maybe some guest speakers coming up soon, so stay tuned. With that being said, I'm Jake,
I'm Bill.
and
This is the K&K podcast.
the K&K Sports Podcast. Happy holidays, happy new year, and we'll see you guys in 2022.